Hi, my name's Simon from writtenlegalenglish.com and welcome to this video where I want to introduce not just one resource to you but 3 resources to help you develop your English writing skills. These resources were all published or made available by the European Union, and they're all 3 different resources, so they're going to take you a little bit of time to get through, but they're 3 valuable resources. And if you haven't seen a style guide, or if you haven't seen any document like this which sets out the rules about how you should write in English, then this is a great place to start. The first place I want to start is the European Commission English Style Guide, a handbook for authors and translators in the European Commission. So this is the handbook for authors and translators in the European Commission, which sets forth the rules about how each document should be approached for publication to the wider public. Now, the good thing about this is that it is regularly updated. As you can see, this is February, just above my head. Let me just scroll up. This is updated in February 2019, so less than a month ago. And if you have a look here on the left-hand side, you can see that the PDF is organised, indexed, so you can go straight to the relevant point if you've got any questions. I've got a nice introduction here where it says the style guide is intended primarily for English language authors and translators, both in-house and freelance, working for the European Commission. But now that so many texts in and around the EU institutions are drafted in English by native and non-native speakers alike, its rules, reminders and handy references aim to serve a wider readership as well. And then it goes on to say this guide in this guide, style is synonymous with a set of accepted linguistic conventions. It therefore refers to recommended in-house usage, not to literary style. Excellent advice on how to improve writing style is given in these links. Now, we'll come on to what the European Union thinks of style in another PDF in just a second. But there's a number of important things here, particularly in this guide. It gives you good advice as regards things that you might not be 100% sure on. For example, there's a wide range here of punctuation from full stops, colons, semicolons, all the way down to forward slashes and apostrophes. So it's a good idea to see how the EU deals with all of this information. How to deal with numbers, and it gives you some explicit rules about how the European Commission deals with numbers. If you've wanted to know about correspondence, you've got some interesting points of view here. Legal language. Now this is great because, let me just scroll down here. This gives you very explicit instructions on how to deal with particular provisions of some kind. So, for example, if the provision cited lays down a procedure or a requirement, use in accordance with or in compliance with. Oh, hang on a second, my highlighting's gone a bit wrong. However, and you've got some other options here as well. However, if the provision cited lays down an objective, use pursuant to. My highlighting skills have gone out of the window here. If it enables or empowers, by virtue of, on the basis of. So it gives you a good idea of the differences between these very often seen and well used legal prepositional phrases. Here it says, because you cannot use shall in the sense of must or be required to, outside enacting terms of legislation, you cannot write this. And it says it gives you it gives you its own guidance on how to use shall. And if you see some of my other videos, you can see that I am really not a big fan of shall because of the legal problems it can cause. If we just click and go straight to it, the use of verbs in legislation, just for my interest more than anything else, the use of verbs in legislation, contracts and the like often gives rise to problems, especially when it comes to the verb shall, since it is not used in this way in everyday speech. Some guidance is given below which we hope will be useful, even if the need to be reasonably brief means that it cannot be exhaustive. So even the European Commission is saying when it comes to shall, be very, very careful. So you've got a number of important chapters here, lots of different points, and it's interesting to see how big organisations, and you're probably not going to find much bigger than the European Commission, how they deal with the English language in terms of a set of rules. The second thing I want to show you is the companion to the English Style Guide, which is the document which you've just had a look at. This is the Country Compendium. And this is fantastic for you to know how different courts, how other legal titles are translated into English according to the European Commission. Now, I live in Poland, so if we go straight down to Poland, it gives you a brief overview on my highlighting skills. Not very good. It gives you a brief overview of how to of what Poland is. So Poland has a bicameral government. How to refer to the lower house, how to refer to the upper house, how to deal with cities according to the European Commission. And this is interesting because it says, write Warsaw for Warszawa, so use the Englishified version or the English version of Warsaw, but use the native forms in all other cases, including Krakow. And this is interesting. Why does the European Commission want to use the English version of Warszawa, but is happy to remain with the Polish version of all the other town names? Now, that might be something that you disagree with, and certainly there are other English professionals in my field that I work with in Poland who will disagree with this and will say, particularly for Krakow, use the English spelling for Krakow, which is Carcow. And of course, that changes the pronunciation as well, because if you pronounce the Polish version, it's Kraków. If you use the Englishified version, then it becomes Krakow. So then pronunciation becomes an issue as well. But we'll go into that discussion perhaps in a different video in the future. How to refer to provinces, rivers. Then we've got voivodes. And here's the interesting bit and the important bit, national authority. So here you've got your Polish national authority, and here we've got the translation into English, the same with judicial bodies and so on. So this resource is also a great resource just to make sure that you're getting the translations of the relevant bodies or whatever it might be correct in English, or at least using or you might be able to use the European Commission's translations as a basis if you don't have your own basis. Now, I said I'll come on to style a little bit later, and indeed this is the European Commission guide on how to write clearly. Now, this is also a short document, and there's only 10 chapters to this, but it goes over the main basics that I've covered in my channel for the last however many years it's been. How to write clearly in English. And if we go look at the hints, these are reflected in the indexing here. Think before you write, focus on the reader, get your document into shape, keep it short and simple, KISS, make sense, structure your sentences. Let's go straight down to number 5. Let's zoom up a little bit, here we go. You may have to write or improve a text containing a mass of facts and idea. Here are some ways of untangling the information so that readers will understand each sentence straight away. Here you can see this is the goal of writing, so that the reader will understand your sentences straight away. So there's plenty of great information here, much of which I've covered in my videos. Name the agents of each action, which means use the active voice. Don't bury important information in the middle of the sentence. So this is the relationship between the subject, verb and object. Try to give your sentences strong endings. That's the bit readers will remember. This is what I cover in emphasis. Cut out excess nouns. Well, I do 2 whole units on nominalizations, and this covers in a brief way that same information. So you can see that this, let's scroll up here, that this how to write clearly document is a brief overview of how you use the English language in a clear way. And it's interesting to put that side by side with the style guide. Sorry, the style guide here. Let's go back to the introduction. The English style guide for authors and translators, and read the two together, or put the two together to see how the rules that they specify in this document apply or could be used, or the approach to which to use these rules, which are covered in the style guide here. So there we go, 3 fantastic resources from the European Commission which show how an organisation as big as the European Commission tries to introduce a level of standardisation as regards how the English language should be used and how it should be written in terms of the style guide. I hope you find those resources interesting. Certainly the style guide is quite short to read. The other guides setting out the rules and the compendium to the rules are lengthy documents, and everything is available on PDF, so you can just click to the relevant indexes. Of course, if you wish to print them out, you can, but certainly the style guide is worth having with you, or having it accessible wherever you go, and constantly refer to that. And I'd encourage you to read that style guide and apply it to the videos that I've done, apply it to the information that I've put on my YouTube channel and my Facebook channel in the past, and see if you can identify any differences, because style guides written by different organisations can differ a little bit. For example, the style guide for Adobe does differ a little bit in terms of its approach to the style guide for the European Commission, and certainly the European Commission and Adobe and others have slightly different approaches how they deal with specific items of English, whether it's numbering, capitalization, or ordering, or making lists, and so on, so on. So it's interesting to see how these organizations differ, as well as where they cover the same material. If you've got any questions at all about these materials, then leave your comments in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. And of course, as I said, you'll find the links to these resources in the video description below. Okie dokie, I'll see you again soon.